You have to be able to be coached in order to be good in this business. And that's another thing is, see, my experience as a top agent is the same as the other agents you're talking to, is we sit there and we talk to all these new agents all the time. They've got these big plans, everything they're going to do, and they demand that they get, a top cut, and then they're done because they can't handle the rejection.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast, where we bring you the best minds in the business. Today's guest is a powerhouse who has not only dominated the real estate game, but has also cracked the code on YouTube, influencing agents and homeowners nationwide. With a YouTube channel followed by over 64,000 subscribers and viewed more than 3 million times, she's known for delivering straightforward, honest advice that helps homes sell faster and for more, and helps agents up their game. Off camera, she's closed nearly $500 million in sales, built powerful teams across multiple states, served as president of one of the largest real estate associations in the country, and earned recognition among the top performers at major brokerages like eXp, Keller Williams, and At Properties. She's also an author of How to Build a Rockstar Real Estate Team Without Going Crazy, and a go-to speaker, trainer, and icon instructor at a national level. She's proof that you can scale without losing authenticity and build influence that lasts. Let's welcome Miss Kati Spaniak to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm glad. I'm really excited the fact that you have a national presence because your channel. I don't know if you see yourself as that, but to have you right here in Jacksonville and bring you into the show, because a lot of times I bring in some of the bigger influencers occasionally through a Zoom type call or whatever. But I'm glad you're here in front of me today. So
right here.
Yeah. Kick us off. Give us a little bit of background up into you get to real estate. Like, what's young Kati thinking about doing as for a career, going to college? And then obviously you didn't jump into real estate right away. It was a few years before. It was about 2003 before you end up getting into real estate.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're doing there.
So I grew up, born and bred in the Chicagoland area. I lived there my whole life. I went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale in Illinois and decided I got a photography degree. And literally, I think the week I had graduation, I decided I didn't want to be a photographer, much to my parents' dismay. So because I realized you had to work on Christmas and you had to work, on holidays, and
probably some Saturday weddings, and
you didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah. And
so I thought, well, I'm going to do something else. And I literally had no idea. So I went and I took a couple graphic design classes and ended up getting into graphic design, where I worked for a few years. Actually, it was a real estate graphic design company, so it was in real estate. And after a few years, I decided, well, I can run this business better than anybody else, so I'm going to start my own business, which was very naive. And I went and I started my own graphic design marketing firm. I was probably 27 or so, and did that very, very successfully for a few years, and realized I had an entrepreneurial knack. And so,
what kind of work were you do just across all business types that you're working with?
Logos, brochures. We would start on websites. I actually did the annual report for National Association of Realtors for a few years. So this would have been in late 90s. Yeah, so a lot of high profile graphic design jobs.
All things needed for real estate marketing.
Exactly. So it was kind of a weird connection. But then I had my first baby, and then after I had my first baby, we had 9/11, and at that time I couldn't pay anybody to use us for marketing or design. The whole business collapsed, and by this point, by the time the business was collapsing, I had 2 babies, so 2 babies under 2, and it was a horrible time in my life, and I felt like I shut down my business, which was my first child. It was for anybody who's an entrepreneur, you know what I'm talking about. But I had 2 little babies at home, and then my mom had been a real estate agent for many years when I was growing up in high school. And
did you pay attention to what she was doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I did, and I was like, I could probably do this, but I had another company. So it was the week before Christmas, and I had to lay off everybody at my business. It was very painful. And the week after Christmas, my mom was diagnosed with colon cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
And so she said, well, now that you don't have a company, maybe you could get your real estate license. And I was like, oh, so now I have 2 kids at home, get my real estate license, and I start helping her. So that's how I got into it. I kind of view those days back early 2000s as I was just like every other real estate agent. You know, I was expecting my friends, my family to use me to sell real estate. I didn't understand the significance of what I was doing. I didn't understand that my guidance could make or break people financially, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was just your typical agent, you know, doing some things here, being with the kids, running around.
Well, it's interesting you say that because you are talking early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And we both know people who, you know, got greedy, if you want to say, in real estate, maybe bought too many properties, right, and then lost their tail in 2007, 8, or 9 in that period of time. Is that kind of why you make that statement that we could affect them by tens of thousands of dollars? Because it's although we didn't actually force them to buy the house, we were guiding them, but we didn't know. I mean, I was in lending at the time. I mean, 2005 is when I started in mortgages. So, I mean, the crazy loans that were going out there, the Nina, the Sissas, or whatever type of, I mean, no one predicted that, at least at our level.
You know, it was really interesting, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because at the time, so I'm very, like, analytical, and I dig in a lot, and I do my research. And at the time, I thought things were going to crash. Now, not because I was some financial guru, but because I could see the way that people were buying homes, not with the financial crisis, but I could see the way inventory was working. And I was like, I just don't see how all of these new homes can be built. I don't see how all these people can be moving into these new, there wasn't enough people moving for all this inventory that was being bought and sold. It just didn't feel right to me. And so I ended up actually getting out of the industry right before the full crash. Mm-hmm. So it was like 2007. And I got out then, and I said, you know what, by this point I had 3 little kids under 3, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I did that until 2000.
Well, what I thought was interesting, people thought it was funny, you know, I had gone to Michigan at the time following my now wife, and Quicken Loans. That's where I spent my first 8.5 years. And so here's this guy who's been living the last whatever amount of years in Florida, and now I'm in Detroit, Michigan. Right?
Wow.
And my parents I asked them, I said, send me up these, because what blew my mind was the price point of the homes that were going up so quickly. I'm like, people are not, it's not like our wages are going up to match this run-up that's going on. Not knowing enough about the industry at that time, I hadn't even owned a house myself at that time to have a realization of what would happen. But it just was, I was like, where's this going? I mean, you get these condos are going up in Naples, and they're multi-millions of dollars and so forth. And how, you know, of course, Naples is totally different today. I mean, what has happened in 20 years there is quite amazing. What's happened in 20 years here in Northeast Florida is a whole nother thing. But yeah, that kind of gave me the same EBGs.
Exactly. You knew something wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what happened. Is I said, you know what, I've got too much going on. I don't know where this market's going. I'm just going to stay at home. So I stayed home until 2012. When I went back to real estate, I ended up getting a divorce.
Okay, I was going to say, the kids are a little bit older now. They're getting to school.
They weren't much older. So I was not working, and I was going through a divorce. Very, very difficult time. And I thought, well, you know what, I know real estate. I think, you know, I have my marketing background. I'm going to get back into real estate. And so I basically started when I was 40, back in the industry. And it really was like brand new, because I didn't really view the time I had worked before as really being, I was more dabbling in it. Mm-hmm. And so I said to myself, I'm going to be the number 1 agent in my town, because previously I would run everywhere, right? I'd do everything. I'd go anywhere. Anybody call me, I'd say, sure, I can.
Wherever business took you.
But now I had 3 little kids, and I said, I'm going to be the best agent in my town, because I don't want to leave this town. I want to be able to be here for my kids. I want to go to events, things like that. So I was very highly focused. And I've taught a lot of agents about this, is how to really dig in, because what I did is I ran the numbers in my town, and I realized that there were 750 transactions, 750 homes sold, which is a buy and a sell for each one every year. So that's 1,500 transactions. And I thought, wow, okay, well, how much does the top agent sell in our town? And it was only like 30 deals in our town.
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, well, that's really sustainable. Like, I could do that, like, if you 30 out of 1,500. And so that was my goal, and that is what I focused on, and that's where I did all my advertising. I was very, very highly targeted, and I grew my business basically to be number 2 within the first 3 years. So I sold $3 million my first year, $11 million my second.
And this is 2012, 13, 14-ish.
Yeah, my
time
third
period.
year it was $24 million.
Right.
So it was, pretty fast trajectory, let's just say. I knew how to market.
Well, that brings up, from your previous career. You mentioned mom in there. Is mom out of the business by this time?
She was still sort of in it, but she was part-time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was leaning more towards brokerages that were a little more interdependent. She was more at your traditional brokerage. I was at Keller Williams, EXP, which I call an interdependent model, which gives you a little more entrepreneurial flexibility than some of the big box brokerages that are out there. And I gravitated towards that.
So you didn't get on her coattails, so to speak.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So, because I'm sure many of the listeners are like, well, you probably just rode your mother's coattails because she had all this business and she was fading out and slowing down, and we
weren't at the same brokerage.
Weren't even at the same brokerage. So I think a lot of the agents listening here, I think is really important. Krista Mashore, she talks. What you were just saying resonates. I've had her on the show. Of course, that had to be Zoom because she's all the way across the country, actually. But really focusing on several neighborhoods. At least that's what she claims that she does. I think her brother runs her actual real estate business now. But focusing on that. Very tight. If you're sitting here and you're talking to agents here in Northeast Florida with all our PUDs, our planned urban developments. You're in Palencia. Obviously Nocatee, I don't know how many tens of thousands of homes are in there, but obviously there's even, the little subdivisions within Nocatee. Nocatee is an actually larger area. Now, to really focus in and really become a specialist in just that immediate area around you. Yes. Because I think the thing that you brought up is like, look at the numbers.
Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could get 5%, if I could get 10% of all those homes, that was 150 transactions. That's not even possible. Like, that's a lot. Like,
you need a team to do that.
You need a team. As a single agent, how many do you need to make a very
good living? Yeah.
Not many.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think I've had great agents come on and say, I changed brokerage. Why'd you change brokerage? Well, I wanted to expand. I'm like, you're really good where you're at. Why are you trying? I can understand, if you want to add agents on to do that and get them out there, but you own the backyard that you're in now. You're full and still growing within your own backyard. Why go and be worried about what's going on in Fernandina Beach and drive the hour up there, an hour back? And
as an agent, for me personally, I don't feel comfortable in areas I don't know. And I think that's important to have knowledge of the local areas, not just somewhat knowledge, but deep knowledge. And that's when I think you can become a much better agent, is when you really know it inside and out.
I was listening to one of the recent, I think it was the most recent one YouTube video you had with you and your daughter were talking.
Yeah.
And I was kind of doing some other work, but I was hearing it over here, and that you guys were going back and forth on, you were kind of recommending of, if you were choosing a listing agent, you were talking to consumers, you should look for someone that has, done so many transactions and so forth. I don't know. That would eliminate, I think your daughter said at one time, like, if they hadn't had 20 listings in the last year, I think it's something like it's a number she used. And I'm thinking, well, here in Northeast Florida, there's a very fine line number of people who have had 20 listings. Now, there's people, some of them had 40 or 50 listings, but but there's a very fine line there. You're talking a very small percentage of agents that actually fall in there.
Yeah. So, I refer a lot of agents through my YouTube channel, thousands. I talk to thousands and thousands of referral agreements out there for this from my YouTube channel. And what I'm looking for is, when I'm referring, and I hate to say this when I'm talking to agents, because they're like, well, I'm never going to get there. Well, you may not, because you may not be focused, you may not be good, you may not care, you may be part-time. So when I'm talking to sellers, I want them to get somebody who has, I'm saying 150 transactions in the last 5 years. So that's about 30 deals. Now, if it's a higher price point market, then it's less because they're not doing as many. Yeah. But somebody who has about 20 listings the previous year is a full-time agent.
Yeah.
And so that's the key, is that somebody who, like, I can see this person's full-time. If I see somebody who has 2 listings and 5 buys, I don't know if they're a full-time agent. Right. If I see somebody who has, 150 deals in the last 5 years and only 10 last year, I know they're on the way out too. So it's important for sellers to use people who are experienced, and then the agents say, well, how am I supposed to get business, if you're telling them not to use me? And I say, you really need to partner up. You really need to be
not everyone's listening to your YouTube channel either.
That's true. That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But they're like, why? How can I get into your
You wish they were.
Right. That's true. And they're like, how can I get into your referral network? And I'm like, you can't.
Right.
Literally, you can't. And the only people who get into my network are people who I track down, who I find are the best agents out there.
So I imagine probably on a regular basis you do get some sort of message from someone who's in an area you don't have.
Oh, every day we're talking to people. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're looking for? Should someone have that question, I'd like to get in your referral network? Well, this is what Kati's looking for.
Yeah, so first of all, the seller who comes in who wants a referral tells us what area they're in. Mm-hmm. And then I'm looking to see who are the top agents in that area. But it doesn't just mean I go with the top agent.
Yeah. Because some of these teams can fudge the numbers a little bit. It doesn't look like who's actually doing the business.
Exactly. But because I've sold so much and I wrote a book about real estate teams, I've had a team with lots and lots of people on it, and I've had a team with almost nobody on it. So I understand the differences. I understand how team leaders work. I've been coached, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my own coaching. So I'm very aware of how it works. So I can go and look at a team and look at their structure. And just from their website, I can pretty much tell how they're run. Mm-hmm. I can pretty much see. So if somebody says, I have a referral in, Jacksonville, I'm looking at the specific zip code, not just Jacksonville as a whole. And then I'm looking to see, okay, how many sales has this person done, their buys versus sells? If it's a team and they've got a lot of buys, most likely those are all their buyer agents, but then most likely that team leader is handling those listings. Right. But we'll check. So I look at their website, I look at their team, I look at their professionalism, I look at their listing photos. It's a big deal. If one of their listing photo packages is bad, we will not refer them.
Right.
We just don't.
Right. No, we can definitely go into a whole nother thing about, some of these agents. I know when there was one of the videos you were talking about the contracts and so forth. I think it was the one we were talking about the dual agent. You were getting into the contracts, but the contracts here in Florida now, everybody's using the FAR contract.
Right.
I guess, when you started down here, you saw the NEFAR contract type of thing, and how some agents, like you said, you immediately realize they're part-time. My wife's an agent, so I hear this conversation going on.
Exactly.
They don't know how they're not filling it out, or they send it over and it's not filled out correctly.
Correct.
And obviously now with the whole buyer-seller compensation, how that's coming across and so forth. I guess if they ask you to come down to NEFAR and talk to a bunch of new agents, what are 2 or 3 things that you're telling, like, you got to get this stuff, like, this has got to be your foundation?
Yeah. So to become a great real estate agent, you have to do 2 things. One is the activities and the other is the education. The activities are what most people kind of focus on, which is, making your phone calls, dialing, keeping your database, all these activities. The education, I think, is where a lot of agents fall down, is they don't understand the education of what they're doing. They don't understand how to fill out a contract. They don't understand how to consult with their clients. They don't know how to do a market evaluation. And so that is a really important thing that they need to understand. But most coaches are coaching for the activities. They're not coaching for the education.
Do you believe it's because, as you know, every transaction you have is different?
Right.
Every customer, seller, they all have whatever different hair to them. Is that new agent doesn't know where to stick that information they're pulling in. They go sit at NEFAR and sit for a classroom, and they've only had 2 deals.
Right.
They don't know what library shelf to put that in their brain.
They don't have context because they haven't been in the business.
Right.
So that's what's really hard about our industry is, and I say this in every video I talk about, I say, I learn something new on every transaction. There is something that I take from every transaction that I put in there. But if I hadn't had those transactions, I wouldn't be able to do it, which is why I'm referring our sellers to agents who are successful and have done a lot of transactions, because they've seen a lot of different things. And so as a new agent, they're so concerned about the split. Like, they're so concerned, well, I don't want to partner with somebody because I'm only going to get, 50%. Well, 50% is better than nothing.
Exactly.
And you're going to learn. And so the agents, there's this growth period in the first couple of years where they're in business, where they're so focused on the split rather than focused on the whole of what they're getting. And tag along, offer to sit open houses for the most successful agent in your brokerage. Like, partner up, team up, do whatever you can for those agents. And those agents who are successful are then going to be like, that's a pretty good agent. I'm going to refer business when I'm too busy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you lead into something, but I want to step back so we can lead back into this. Your original choices of brokerages, and then obviously for you personally, obviously you've been at EXP, I think a little over 8 years, if I saw that correctly. Why the cloud brokerages, right? The cloud brokerages. Cloud,
right,
you guys probably cloud. Everyone's online using technology, right? Or we'll call them cloud broker. But why that trick? Because obviously, you've been in the business long enough. Some agents thrive. Your mom thrived in a more traditional
office setting.
Some people they need to go into the office to feel, get the synergy going, whatever going, and they thrive in that thing. But the importance and how you made your choices, but also I assume you found that many agents fail because they make that wrong choice of whether it's a particular name. I don't think the name is really, but really it's actually the broker or the top agents that are in there running that organization that you're tapping into, for your business.
Right.
So how did you make your decisions, and what do you recommend a new agent comes to you today and says, I'm looking to get in here. What are some of the things you're going to educate them on that choice?
So that's a really big question, and I'm pretty honest in all my conversations on my YouTube channel and when I talk about things. And what I'll tell any agent is, your business is because of you. It's not because of your brokerage. And that's one thing that bothers me, is when these big box brokerages say, oh, you're getting your business because of our name. And that's completely not true.
Yeah, not today.
No. And so it really bothers me that agents think that's true. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I just kind of got into this mode where I wanted to be my own entrepreneur. And in the beginning, of course, it was about, the name, the brand. And then I moved to Keller Williams, and Keller Williams was more about the education. And that was more about becoming a great agent. The other big box, I didn't feel like it was becoming a great agent. I felt like it was, how much business can you bring in? How much can you sell? Whereas at Keller Williams, I felt like it was just more about, you're going to be a great agent. And the reason you're going to be a great agent is because we're going to talk about all these things that you need to know. You're going to put your education first. And then I moved to EXP, which I feel for me is a great brokerage, just in the way it's set up. If somebody says to me, I want to, come to EXP, I'll say, well, let's talk. Because it's not for everyone. Each brokerage is not for everyone. You can't just say, any agent should go into, Compass or Real or EXP. It's a very personalized discussion about what is best for you. And just because it's best for me doesn't mean it's best for somebody else.
Right.
That's really what it's about. So I would say, as a new agent, you have to look at what you're good at and what you're not good at. And what you're good at is, let's say, working on your own, being self-accountable. Well, then you can go with a EXP or a Real. If you're not good at being accountable to yourself, you probably need to be in an office. Maybe you're looking at an office brokerage. Right. So I also say that selling real estate made me a better person. And this is something that I will always say, and I don't know if I would have known this when I started, it made me a better person, because how many times, and you probably get a little bit of this too, is how many times can you be rejected, and then pick yourself back up and then do it all over again? And you can't help but feel that personally inside of you.
Yeah.
You can't help feeling,
what did I do wrong?
What did I do wrong?
Right. Yeah.
And as a person, as somebody going through a divorce in a very traumatic time, having 3 little kids and being told no, you have to say, okay, I've got to do this, and you've got to pick yourself back up. So, I've sold 600 homes. I've been rejected thousands and thousands of times. How many deals did not go through? How many times did people say no? How many listings did I lose? Thousands. And a new agent has to understand that that is what they're going to have to get through in order to be a great agent. And that's why I know when I refer to an agent who has hundreds of transactions, I know they've been rejected thousands of times. And that's how you become a better person, and that's how you learn, and that's why selling real estate changed my life.
Well, one of the things you mentioned earlier, and I've been kind of pushing this out here recently, not that it's any new, probably I've done it several times over the last 4 years doing the show, but the importance of collaborating, getting with a mentor, someone you can shadow, all these words, how important it is. And then if you're an agent, maybe you've been doing this 2 or 3 years and you're kind of trudging along and you haven't done a dozen deals in an entire year, and you're like, why am I not growing? Mm-hmm. The importance of linking up with 3 or 4, or at least a mentor or somebody, and shadowing, getting some at-bats and bringing up your education game.
Absolutely. So when I was in Chicago, there was this agent who had been in business before. He was in his mid-50s, and he would move back to Chicago. And he knew I had a lot of business. And he said, Katie, I want to sit 4 open houses for you a weekend. 4. He wasn't on my team. He was just at my brokerage. Right. He went and he found out who were the top agents, called me up, and I knew I could count on him. I knew that he would sit 4 open houses for me a weekend. So we'd schedule him in 3 weeks out. He sold $12 million his first year. $12 million. Yeah. But that's because he sought me out. I didn't seek him out. Right. And that's the thing is a new agent will reach out once to a big agent and be like, oh, that agent didn't get back to me. They must not like me. No, you have to be on top of that agent every week. If you want something, you have to be the one to say, hey, do you have an open house I can sit? Hey, do you have any rentals I can run? And at some point, that big agent is going to have that deal that he's like, I can't deal with this. You know what? I'm going to help you, young person.
You've been banging my door.
Yep, you're great. You're going to give me 10%. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to help you. You take this, $100,000 lead, whatever it is.
Right. Well, you made a good point. They only call out one time, and that experienced agent has had a lot of people already probably have called them and so, because when they start ramping up and they start getting some accolades in the office, they start getting calls or people come by, hey, what can you do? Can you teach me this or teach me that?
I want to be on your team.
I want to be on your
leads.
Yeah. Or, I've had top agents tell me, they sit down and have coffee and they say, hey, and you give them some advice. Yep. Hey, based on what you told me, I'd say I'd do this, do that, and the other thing. And they don't even take it.
They don't take it. They don't follow up. They don't take it.
That's why so many fail out of the business.
Exactly. Because they're completely uncoachable.
Right.
You have to be able to be coached in order to be good in this business. And that's another thing is, my experience as a top agent is the same as the other agents you're talking to, is we sit there and we talk to all these new agents all the time. They've got these big plans, everything they're going to do, and they demand that they get, a top cut, and then they're done because they can't handle the rejection.
Right.
Now, there are some who can, but and I push this because this is a hard business to be in. And it looks easy. It looks easy for somebody to come in and get, $10,000 for just selling one home. But there's so much more to it. And we've talked to a lot of agents. Mm-hmm. Teams talk to a lot of agents who do not make it because they're concerned, like I said in the beginning, about the split.
Yeah. So I'm working back to, so at what point, we talked a little about the brokers stuff. At what point did you get in your business where you start going, hey, I want to expand a little bit, and you start growing your team? Which then leads you to your book, so you can jump
pretty
into
early.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I'd already had this entrepreneurial experience. Mm-hmm. I'd been coached quite a bit. I knew that, there were some things I was good at, some things I wasn't. I'm very big on the disc profile, so I'm very, in tune to that. And so I knew pretty early on that I hated showing homes. I hate showing homes. I say I hate it. I do it, and I'm great when I do it, but, I get there, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's a bathroom. What do you want me to say about this bathroom? Right. It's like...
You start putting it on yourself, not really, it's the house. It's not you.
Yeah. Right. And so the patience that you need to have and the high I in the disc profile that you need to have in order to be a great buyer's agent. I'm a high D. If you guys don't know the disc profile, highly recommend you look into it. But I'm a super, super high D, so I'm 110% high D. I don't have time to show homes. I need to be back at my computer doing my marketing, trying to get a deal together. So I knew early on that I was not the best to be a buyer's agent, so I started kind of working that way, and I failed many, many, many times building my team. Many times.
Yeah.
And it's because I put my faith and trust in
Were you in on the disc from the get-go? Or is that something you learned to start using as you failed forward?
It's interesting. So I used a company called WiseHire,
mm-hmm.
and they would give you the profiles of people. And then I started getting really interested, and I could see when I was talking to somebody, it was matching up with their profile. And I was like, well, that's why this person is a high D or a high C. And then I realized that people with a high SC were the ones who were the ones that were different than me, that I thought, this could be a good person. They're a little bit different than me to compliment me, but they don't have the go out and get it attitude because they're a high SC. So I was very clear in seeing this in real time,
mm-hmm.
and I failed. I failed a lot. And I give people, I'll say, the benefit of the doubt, because I was very much, I'm a do what I say type of person. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so I just believed everybody else was like that. And it turned out that they weren't. And, they said, I'm going to lead generate every day. I'm going to come in every day. I'm going to do this. I was like, that's fantastic. This is great. We're going to be a huge team. And then they give up once they get rejected a few times.
Yeah.
So building a team, I wrote the book, and it's not this literary masterpiece or anything, but I wrote the book because I felt like I hadn't been told what I put in the book. And what I put in the book was that you don't need this massive team. You don't need to give all these splits and do all these things. You need to give people one simple task at a time, and you pay them specifically for that task. You don't say, I'm going to give you 25% of my buyer, and then they just completely fail. You say, I'm going to pay you $25 to go open this door for my buyer. And so you bring them in slowly to see what they can do, and then they have to earn it before you start paying out your commission. Because what I didn't realize when I started bringing in a team is I was thinking, if I can do $25 million on my own, well, if I can bring in a team member, they can at least do $3 or $4 million on their own. But what I didn't realize is I was taking away my commission to give to them. So when I said $25 million, I now was giving it to them. They were blowing it, and I was losing commissions because I was giving them deals that I would have closed. And so when you start a team, you have to realize that you're probably going to lose money. And a team is a losing proposition.
Yeah.
Unless, there's some great team leaders out there who I'm very impressed with, but
it's a lot tougher, and I see some people jump into it at a very, very, to me, young stage, and I brag about seeing, Christina Welch here in town as the first person. Christina was lucky she was fortunate to eventually get 2 or 3 core people that bought into what they were doing. Now, I don't know how they were doing their splits or whatever, and how she was keeping them happy, but I know there was periods where people were rolling, agents were coming on, they're coming in and working the structure, but then they were going off on their own because they're like, because obviously they were given these splits up. They eventually I can go do it on my own.
I can go do it on my own.
Yeah,
exactly.
Type thing. And until it took her years of working through the system and then all of a sudden she started to multiply.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard. And my daughter is an agent with me now, and I give her a percentage. It's so funny. So I started her with a small percentage, and she's like, wow, she's young. She's like, wow, this is awesome. This is great. All I have to do is go sit a couple open houses and do the, whatever simple stuff. And I said, okay, Lisa, this is where it goes wrong. I said, I'm giving you this opportunity and basically giving you this money. Okay. And basically because her compensation is not really tied to her experience. I'm giving this to you. I said, in 1 year, you're going to come to me and you're going to say, well, that buyer took me 25 showings. I should be getting a higher split. And this is where it always falls apart.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not about the split. Because if I was showing that person, I would not show them 25 homes. I would show them 5. I said, so once you figure out how to show them less homes, then that's when we can talk about a higher split. She hasn't gotten there yet. She's still like loving what she's doing.
Right.
But that's where it falls apart is the team leaders give all of this support and guidance and leads and everything, full all in. And I did this. I gave it all my love, my attention, my everything. And then they're like, yeah, well, I want a higher split. I'm like, you have to work for a year before you can get like a higher split, and you have to sell more on your own. Like, you're being fed leads. And so I'm not bashing people, maybe a little bit. As a team leader, it's very painful to bring on new agents.
Right.
And then they leave.
Well, I think this is just a perception from my side. You know better than I do. I know Christina, when I asked her, what play is she running? She's running Keller Williams' book.
Right. Yes.
She's staying within that structure, and she's running that play.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go out there and have this dream that, hey, I do $25 million. I can go hire or bring on 5 more agents. They're all going to do $3 to $5 million. We'll be doing over $50 million overnight and be rolling. And it doesn't happen that fast. B, they have no structure to actually get it there. They don't have that business plan
of
how to actually, or blueprint as Keller Williams does, to execute on. And it falls apart very quickly.
And the other thing is that it's very expensive to run a team because you've got to feed your team. So how do you feed your team? Either you're giving them your own personal sphere, which means you're taking away business from you, or you're paying for leads. And I remember at a point, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it was so stressful. The other thing, the Keller Williams model is what I was trying to do in my area that I realized is that people who want to start a team, it is location dependent. It is location dependent. You cannot start a team in different areas of the country if you don't have either an influx of buyers or high turnover. So in my area, it was very sphere-based. In where I was, it was the North Shore of Chicago, very, very sphere-based. And so you had a reputation in there. I couldn't hand off my sphere buyers to somebody on my team who was 25 years old.
Right.
So you have to understand that your location may not allow you to have a team the way some of these other teams.
You might pull in a bad apple, and all of a sudden
Exactly. You can do it in the city of Chicago. That's not a sphere-based business. You can churn. You can have $200,000 condos that you can let these agents go work on, and if they lose it, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But when you're working with $1.5 million buyers or sellers, it's a big deal.
Yeah. When does the YouTube channel come to your vision?
Yeah, so the YouTube channel started in 2017. I used a company called Viral Marketing. You heard of Viral? They do videos. I signed up, and I would record a video. I'd send it to them, and they'd edit it and send it back, and then they'd put it on my YouTube channel. And it did nothing. I love Viral, but I didn't understand YouTube at all. YouTube is very, very confusing. Yeah. And so after a few...
They're always changing. I think all the social media, they're always tweaking it in the backside. Like, you think you got it, and then you don't.
Yeah. And so in about 2022, 23, I'd actually hired somebody, came on my team, and I hired him to help me with my YouTube channel. And basically, he gave me the information on how to get it online, like more on understanding how to upload the videos. But there was a point, all of a sudden, I was doing it wrong still. I mean, people weren't watching, and I was like, this is a waste of time. But I committed to it. I was doing it like once a week. And so
you have a pile of content sitting there, right?
It's already there.
Because you had been doing it for roughly 5 or 6 years at this point.
And it was there. So then I was doing more videos. I also got involved with a group called Brand Builders, which kind of helps you build who you are as your brand. And I started thinking more about what content I was going to put out there and who I was talking to. And all of a sudden, and this comes from years and years of marketing and coaching and everything that I've done, I was like, I think I got it. And I said, I'm only going to speak to sellers, because that's where my passion is. I feel very passionate about the fact that if sellers choose the wrong agent or they make the wrong decisions, they will lose tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've seen it. And so I felt very passionate about educating sellers. And so I decided, okay, my channel is only going to speak to sellers of real estate. And I was like, I'm not going to talk to agents. I'm not going to talk to buyers. They may watch my YouTube, but I'm not talking to them anymore. So I very much created...
Because before there, you were just shotgunning.
Yeah, what's the market like on the North Shore of Chicago?
Right.
Should you build a team? Like, the thing about YouTube is you can only speak to one single person. That's it. Like, one person. So you can only speak to sellers or buyers. You can only speak to national sellers or national buyers or local sellers or local buyers. And this is where I screwed up. Is that I thought by building my YouTube channel I was going to build my local business. But YouTube is so... Once you go national on YouTube, you're stuck. You're stuck because you're a national audience. So let's say I went national, which I did with my seller videos, and then I posted, what's the real estate market doing on the North Shore of Chicago? They wouldn't watch, and then YouTube dings you. So once YouTube dings you, it's very hard to get back in their good graces. So you have to work with their whole algorithm. So if I have this whole big audience of national sellers, and then I post a buyer how to do a VA loan, they're like, I'm not watching it, and then YouTube notices that they're not watching your videos. So
1 out of 10 drops, and they really kick you out of line
to get back up.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it was about December of 2023. I highly focused on sellers, but I didn't realize that it was national versus local. And so I was just doing sellers. I was like, wow, this is going great. But then I was realizing I wasn't getting any local business. So this is the one thing I want to say to anybody doing YouTube, a real estate agent doing YouTube, okay, is that first of all, you have to be like all in on YouTube. You have to be completely mentally committed to it, but you also can only speak to one person. And if you are doing a channel that is all about the town and buying these homes, you're only going to get buyers in that town. That's it. That will be your business for eternity. Because you cannot switch your buyers who are looking to buy in St. Augustine.
Yeah.
You can't look at that and then all of a sudden you're talking about selling a home. They're not going to watch it. So you have to be very, very focused. So, for example,
could you talk about buying and selling in St. Augustine?
No.
Not even that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can, but you have to figure out you're not going to get sellers on your channel. You're going to get buyers on your channel. Okay? But most agents want sellers. So what I've actually done is I've created a new channel, which I should have done in the beginning. That's how I should have done at the beginning. This has been
You had to fail forward.
Yeah, I did. So I built a new channel for just Palencia, which is the subdivision I live in.
Yeah.
So it's got, 2,500 homes. If I get, a couple, I'm doing great. So my channel only has, I think, 27 subscribers. And that's awesome because they all are Palencia people, right? Local real estate. So everything
that's hyper-local.
Hyper-local, right. Yeah. St. Augustine is huge. Jacksonville is huge. I want to work only in Palencia. And in Chicago, where I still have my team, but that's my thing. So YouTube, I started getting into this and realized that my content was good for sellers, like they liked it. And then I started promoting that I'd find you a real estate agent if you were looking. And I built this big community of sellers in the country who are like family now to me. Like,
I was watching a little bit of one, I think you did not too long ago, might have been weeks, I don't know, maybe a month ago, where I think the sellers were in Virginia.
Yeah.
And you're doing a Zoom call. You're basically doing a seller's consultation with them.
Yeah.
And the husband said, sell it for $800,000, and was really like, I don't know what, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I don't know where it actually is valued at, but it was much lower than where he thought. But his mindset, if I recall correctly, was to, hey, post it really high and then see where someone will come in. And obviously they're going to try to get as close to what you want, but you'll fall a little short of that. You still made a lot of good money on it.
Right.
Type of thing, even though the house is worth less than that.
Exactly. So I'm very supportive of people's local real estate agents that know more than I do in their community. Like, I don't know people's businesses. I don't know the teams. I don't know the structure. I don't know what their market is. But I can do enough on like Zillow and Homes to know a range of a price. And so I got this couple on my channel to do a live listing presentation and did not prepare for it. Like, I did not really kind of talk to them ahead of time. And yeah, his price was too high. And this is exactly what happens in real listing presentations. And so that was hard because I had to bring him off of his price while making him still feel okay.
Right, without insulting him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. And that's why my channel, while it's for sellers, this is the type of education I think agents need. But I don't want anyone listening, I don't want you to subscribe to my channel if you're not going to watch my videos. Don't do it. Because that hurts the algorithm.
Right.
If you get people who are subscribing who don't watch, it hurts the algorithm.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's a very, very, like, go ahead, watch the videos. I'm fine if you're going to watch the videos.
Does it care whether you watched long form or the short form?
Yeah, totally different.
Okay, so it's
totally different.
It's even putting those people, because obviously there's some people just like shorts.
Well, those people who like shorts. So my avatar for my audience is women over the age of like 60, 55, who want to be educated, and they're not going to be educated by looking at shorts. Looking at shorts is about entertainment, not about education.
Well, no, I mean, I've watched a few of your shorts. They were good.
Yeah, but you know what? They don't get people to trust me the way that my long form does, because YouTube is about trust and it's that relationship.
Well, what is your attitude? Is the short form a way to obviously intrigue them to watch the long form?
Yes.
Isn't that the goal?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. But you can't, like, shorts on YouTube, that's ultimately their goal. It's not like Instagram or TikTok or something like that to be entertained.
That's entertaining, yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, so I do shorts on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's, when I talk to agents, whether they're doing their little things on Instagram, it's like, why are you not dropping all these things into YouTube? Now you're on a higher level game. You're really like you're hyper focused on what you're doing, and you've figured out, obviously that's been an accelerator to your channel. But they're creating this content, which you did for years.
Yeah.
Which, would you agree, the fact that you had this foundation of content out there helped you, when you finally hyper focused, helped you accelerate faster?
Correct.
Versus just starting at zero. If you knew all the answers from zero, you wouldn't have advanced as fast as you did if you didn't.
I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah. Right.
So when somebody says they're going to start YouTube, I say, great. I love what YouTube gives you as the opportunity to get people to know you. I love it. I did 200 videos before one of them, I'm not even going to say went viral, before one of them got over 500 views. So you have to practice.
Yeah.
You just have to keep doing it. So even if you're not, even if you're not getting traction, YouTube, I think, is very much about, you're going to practice until you do it right, and you just have to put it out there. Like, my daughter's focused on TikTok right now, and she said she's stuck at 1,000, followers. And I said, well, TikTok is testing you. They're testing to make sure you're in this for the long game. That if you just have to keep posting, even though you're not getting any followers. And it's so funny because I had a video, my very, very first, like, holy crazy viral video was a video called Don't Get Sued. And this was a story about sellers that I had that got sued by their buyers, and the buyers walked away at the closing table, and the sellers had to pay the buyers $10,000. Crazy, crazy story. Okay. So I posted this early on, and it was like 250,000 views in like a week.
Wow.
Up until this point, I'd had like 1,000 views, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
You hit a nerve somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was this crazy story. Other YouTubers who are the same space as me actually told my story. Like, it's a really crazy story.
Yeah. I'll have to look this video up now.
It died. The video died. Well, it died because the next video I posted was how to hire a real estate agent. And so the people who watched my Don't Get Sued video I looked, you can tell on YouTube, they were men, mostly men, who loved this crazy story, and they were younger. So my avatar was really, who was watching, it was 55 and up women. Mostly men were watching. They were sharing it. You got to hear this story. So then the next video that comes up on their feed, because they subscribe, it comes up on their feed, is how to hire a real estate agent.
Boring.
And they're like, okay. And so that's what I'm saying, is that's how I knew I did it wrong. And then it died. Everything died. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it took us months to get back into like equilibrium. But you know what's so funny is that video has taken off in the last 3 weeks. Taken off. Like, for some weird reason, all of a sudden YouTube is pushing it again. And I've had like, I don't know, I've had like 30,000 views in the last 3 days or something on it.
That one video. And that video's older, a couple years old.
That video is That video is over a year old.
Right.
So that's what YouTube does, is sometimes you can have this video and be like, this is a great video, I know it's a great video, and YouTube will push it at some point again. And for some reason right now, YouTube is pushing a lot of my videos. I'm getting a lot of traction. That could be because I've done a couple of live sessions recently, which is also you throw into the mix, but I'm not real sure.
Right.
All I know is that they're pushing my videos out right now, and I'm getting a lot of traction.
Yeah. When did you start getting those? You obviously started realizing you're going national because you don't get 250,000 in your backyard. But people started to ask you, hey, do you know a real estate agent? Was that something you were thinking of trying to get to, or something that all of a sudden started to come at you?
Well,
you're like, oh, man, I can make something of this.
Yeah, I realized kind of early on that I wasn't getting these people in my backyard talking to me. And so I started saying, oh, if you want me to set you up on a market search, let me know. And then I thought I'd just find an agent in the local area. And then I started saying, oh, if you need an agent, let me know. And so then it started on this process. And the referral game is very difficult. It's very difficult because it's, so I find an agent in California, let's say. If I find the bad agent, I lose the income. And I don't even know this person, right? And so it's been almost a year and a half of testing, creating a back-end system for tracking, and knowing
and
how...
you're doing your due diligence to hopefully find the right agent.
Because,
right?
At first I was only referring one agent, and then I found that agents didn't respond sometimes. The sellers, they would not call them back. And so then I was like, oh, because now I'm saying you need to talk to a couple agents, and they're like, well, Katie only gave me one, so I'm going to go talk to 2 other people. And then I'd lose that. And then I was referring only to EXP agents, and the best agent in every town is not an EXP agent.
Right.
So I got to the
sense.
point where I was broker agnostic. I'll refer to the best agents in the town now.
Yeah.
I refer 2 to 3. And our system is much, much better. My daughter Lisa helps. Very solid, very good right now. A lot of good follow-up, but it's also a long tail. You might have a year to 2, and then you're getting yesterday I got a check for $900. I mean, it's like, it's not going to replace selling a $500,000 home.
Right.
So it's, if anybody's watching, they're like, oh, I want to do what Katie does. I will just tell you, if you are selling real estate in your local community, you can't do what I do. Like, you can't go national. You will destroy your local business, which is really kind of what happened to me a little bit, is it really hurt my local business because I was focused on
your
national.
content that you were putting out was more for a national thing than being local. But
Right.
now you're running this new channel. You're giving it the dual.
I am.
Yeah.
And now I know what to do. And now what I'm using YouTube for with my local market is I'm using it as social proof in my local market. In my North Shore Chicago market, in my Palencia market, now it's social proof. So now if I do an ad, in Palencia, I can say, as seen on YouTube, over 60,000 subscribers. So that's my social proof.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Are you backlinking or whatever the two? Does that work?
No.
Not in this case, in this particular.
No, no. And here's the thing: is I only want people following my Palencia channel who live in Palencia,
Right.
or looking to buy in Palencia, really.
Right.
And I might get a few people from that, but it's a seller channel. So anybody who's going to go look at my Palencia channel, don't subscribe.
Well, so let's take it down to educating some of the listeners on the agents that are on. Because there's a lot of them that want to. I comb everybody's social media.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, a lot of people do not have a decent LinkedIn. Let's go through that actually, because you're working nationally.
Yeah.
And I think here in Northeast Florida, we have a lot of buyers that come from outside the area.
Correct.
Should you not have a tight LinkedIn?
You should, which I don't.
No, your LinkedIn tells me enough about you.
It's okay. Yeah. Yes, for sure. LinkedIn is the least used by real estate agents.
Yeah, when I'm stalking, looking up people, I'm going into, because it's the way I do my show. I go in there, I'm looking for an outline. I can see where you went to college, which generally relates to you probably grew up in this certain area or whatever, or your first jobs are you generally in your hometown, right? Whatever, if you've got everything on. But it tells me a little bit about you, and maybe we resonate. Maybe we've crossed paths and gone to the same places or whatever type of thing. But I see a lot of agents, their LinkedIn is, if they have a LinkedIn. Now, there's some agent obviously is decent enough. I think it's very easy to post it. Maybe you update the bio every so often, because as you get more and more subscribers, you got to go 64, 65. Right. You got to change that number. Right. But that's very easy to do. But someone's stalking you, and you go, well, who's this woman referring? I can go on LinkedIn, and I know something a little bit about you. You've been in the business 22 years.
Because I don't think the regular consumers look at LinkedIn a lot. You're in business. And so I don't see a lot of my sellers looking at LinkedIn. I see them looking at Facebook. I see them looking at Instagram. I see them looking at their websites. So that's super important, is the websites that they have.
Let's touch a little bit on that, because next week I have a gentleman I just happened to go to high school with, or grew up with really, who is from California. He's been doing websites for about as long as you've been in real estate, and he's really good at it. I'm going to have him on the show, and that's one of the topics we're going to talk about, the importance, especially now. And I don't know how far you've gone into the AI thing, but as our search goes from the Google to now the younger people going right to the natural language, going right in ChatGPT and start talking about, hey, I want to buy real estate and stuff. How is the website going to play in, and how the importance of that?
It's a really big deal. So, we are referring thousands of agents. Like, I stalk agents. Like, if you're a big agent out there, I probably stalked you. Like, seriously. And when we go, we start looking at all their social media. So if they don't have a website, like a true team or person website, it's a major issue. Because if they only have we see a lot with more Remax, like remax.com/agent name, that is not impressive to send to our sellers. Our sellers do not like to see, all they have is a About Me page on the Remax site.
Yeah.
So they don't like that. It's very important.
And a lot of times it's not even up to date.
Right.
It looks like there's stuff missing already in
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I've referred a couple agents in Canada last week, and Canada, they are really good at their presentation. Like, there's some, and and I talked to one of the agents out there, and he said our sellers here are very educated and they expect a lot. And I could tell just based upon the presentation. Beautiful websites, beautiful photography, and the way it looks. And so I will not refer out an agent who might have good sales but doesn't have a good presentation, because they don't understand the significance of marketing themselves. How can they understand the significance of marketing their homes?
You're being measured somehow. And that's what, not saying that's not necessarily always true, but if you're looking from the outside in. And I think, like you said, when the natural language progression, you're going to have to, your website is where the AI is going to be looking.
Yeah.
And you should be using AI to help you create it, because AI is looking for AI. I've been told that by experts in utilizing that. What I wanted to get to is, you have agents that are listening, and obviously they see what you're doing, I can't do that. I'm sure you've...
Well, it would depend on what.
Well... Yeah. Could they do it? Yeah, it's going to take time and energy. Some just don't have. You have the natural ability and a passion, I think, just watching you on camera. Obviously, you're locked and loaded. You've got your knowledge just right there, and it's rolling on out. Not a lot of people can just throw it out there like you do. Do you even have any sort of script or outline that a lot of times that you're actually working off of?
Yeah.
You do, or you have something, at least, I got to remember to bring up that or that. But I imagine you're not scripted word for word.
No, I'm really bad. I can't memorize a single sentence. So that's the problem with me, is I can't work off a script or memorize it. So in the beginning, I just talked. Okay, so I would just talk about a topic. And then I realized I needed a hook in the beginning. So this is all progression. So, for people who say they can't do it, no, you can't do what I'm doing right now on your first video, but after 400, you should be able to do what I'm doing. And so that's why I say,
well, they can learn from you and shorten their learning curve that you've already experienced.
Exactly. In YouTube, you have to be mentally all in, like I said. You know, so right now I'm thinking about my next video that I'm going to record. And I do a an outline. I'll do an outline. And I'll pick a title first and an outline, and then I'll record it. I have a good editor who seems to understand the real estate. He understands me, so he's pretty good at cutting me.
Bringing in the B-roll, and I saw
Yep.
sometimes like whatever topic is, sometimes that will flash across the screen and type.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can't be me right now, but you could be me if you put in the time and the commitment and the money that I have.
Right. You're right.
Right?
You're right.
I mean, it's all about your desire and passion for it.
Right. For the lack of better terms, standard, normal agent type of thing, I think you've gotten to a point where you've realized you've made it now. You're using it obviously to get these national referrals. That's become part of your business.
Yes.
For the agent who's just selling here in Northeast Florida, how should they be using YouTube?
Okay, that's a great question. So it depends on the age of the agent in the business, not the agent person, but in the business. So if they're looking to start their business and grow their business, the easiest way is through buyers. And so this is like the living in model. Those models are really good for teams because they bring in buyer leads. Living in the North Shore of Chicago, you don't get buyer leads coming in that way. That's why I'm saying you have to understand your market. Are you getting an influx of people into your market? If you're not, it's probably not going to work. You need to do something a little different. Remember, you got to pick that buyer. Are you working with the buyer? Or are you working with the seller? Like, you can only work with one or the other because the topics are different.
Right.
So, if it's a newer agent, I highly recommend doing one of these. Here's Nocatee. Learn about Nocatee and do it, and you'll get leads. You will get buyer leads. At some point, you're going to want to transition to sellers, which you have to probably start a new channel. So if you're more of an experienced agent, let's say you were like me, an experienced agent who wants to get into YouTube, if you do the living in, you're going to get a lot of buyers and you're not going to like it. Like doing something highly targeted. So like, for example, I suppose, let's use Nocatee as a good example. Yeah. So you can do a Nocatee of sellers. Selling your home in Nocatee. Everything I know about the homes on the market in Nocatee. Like you can't just do like, I have one of my top videos is magic colors, you should paint your house. Okay? And if I had said magic colors to paint your house in Nocatee is different than magic colors to paint your house. Mm-hmm. Because a national audience is not going to click on the in Nocatee, but Nocatee people are going to click on the in Nocatee. And those are going to be sellers. So if you're doing the types of videos that I'm doing, the seller type videos, they have to be highly, highly focused on the town that you're in. So you have to go and look at what can you talk about in specifically Nocatee. And the views, you're going to only get 100 views, but it's going to be 100 views of people who can use your services, which is
right. In fact, I heard you step that back. You were talking about the buyers want to be focused on the community.
Buyers need to understand the community.
I was trying to really take in what you were saying there.
Buyers need to understand the community. They need to understand there's water parks
They want to see the video before they get there.
Right. So that's different because Nocatee sellers are already there.
Right.
They don't need to see the
water
park.
Yeah.
They already know.
Right.
They need to know what's going on in Nocatee in order to sell their home. That's the difference. That's why you can't talk to two different people
and just make a general real estate thing. Really focus in on one side or the other. Maybe if you like to, just create two channels.
And that's even harder to do.
Yeah.
But yes. And so I give a word of caution for anybody who wants to go into YouTube and it's like, I want to do what Katie does and I want to do these referrals. Their business will go down. Their local business will go down.
What if someone is just... Because I imagine this is a lot of them out there, and maybe you can tell why maybe it works or doesn't, or where maybe it can work and why it doesn't work sometimes. Is I'm out there and I've heard some stories. There's a gentleman on TikTok that I've heard where he's just going out and going to these open houses and he's just doing walkthroughs with this, and people are chasing him. If you're a local agent and you don't really, maybe you don't want to sit in front of the camera like you do and go off with a lot of information because maybe you're just new to the business, a newer agent, it's easy just to walk through a bunch of houses and talk about them.
And those are the buyer leads.
Yeah.
Those are the buyer leads. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But as an experienced agent, with a team or without a team, you want more listings. That's really how you sustain your business. You can't really sustain it on new buyers coming in all the time. You have to build your listing business. So an experienced agent who wants to do YouTube, you got to be super careful. Like, YouTube is all encompassing. Like, and my business went down because of YouTube, because I didn't realize that I wasn't going to get local business, and it hurt.
Yeah. No, I can.
Financially.
It makes total sense. Obviously you experienced it, so you can share that with us, and you took the bullet for it. So, on there, but that makes total sense of why the local, you're talking about, like you said, the topics you're talking about were being picked up nationally, but your people next door at your church or whatever, they weren't even.
I'm going to tell you a
story. They weren't
story.
interested in it.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Yeah.
So I had this woman reach out to me, and this was about, 8 months ago, and 6 months ago or so. And she was like, she sent me a note. She signed up for my stuff, and she sent me a note. I just found out that you live down the street from me. I've been watching you for a year, and I just listed my house. I can't believe that I've been watching you for a year, and I didn't know you were here. And the reason she knew me was because I advertised in the local magazine. And then she saw
your picture and put the two
and she
together.
was like, oh my gosh. And she became like a massive fan of mine, even though she was currently listed with somebody else.
Right.
Like a massive fan. She's like, can we go to lunch? Like crazy. And I'm thinking, I just could kick myself because she didn't know that I was literally a half a block away from her.
Right.
That is the problem that agents will run into if they follow my path. So if you want to follow my path, but you're going to lose local business. You
have to really focus on, it takes you should be sitting down and doing some strategery, talking, obviously you're watching this or, watching, consult with you on, hey, this is what I want to do. And you could probably, save a lot. One thing I don't know if you've listened to any of my shows, I talk about the grit that real estate agents have. And they have to have a level of grit. I bring up Angela Duckworth's book all the time, Grit. If you haven't read it, you should, or listen to it like I did. But I broke it down. I call it the LLC. Love, laughter, and consistency. It's 3 things you need to have, I think, in life, in really whatever you're doing. Otherwise, if you don't have the grit, it's going to knock you off. Yeah. So the first thing is love. Why do you love real estate?
I know it sounds so weird. Like, I'm an agent, right? I'm just a real estate agent, but I change people's lives. I love giving people advice and help and knowing that it will change their life. Like, I have a private Facebook group for sellers, and yesterday I was having kind of a tough day, and somebody put in there in the group just how amazed that he was with the agent referrals that I gave and the help that my daughter and I gave to him. And then somebody followed it up with, not to be religious, but I feel like this is your calling. And so it's more to me, like, I'm a real estate agent, but I know that what I'm doing, I'm so accountable to myself, and I'm so accountable to the people that I want to help, that I know I'm changing lives.
Yeah. The knowledge that you're sharing has made differences, that's a high for sure. The laughter part, I call it laughter because I think today we look back on our lives and those situations where, you've had a gut check. You got, as you said, you've had thousands of people say no to you, basically.
Yeah.
Or a deal goes sideways, and you probably said, why am I in this business? Right. Today you laugh about it, at a cocktail party. So, I remember back 10 years ago. Tell us a story where you really had one of those checkups where you really questioned, why am I in this business? But then obviously got through.
Oh gosh, that's good. So there are a lot of stories I have, a lot of stories that I tell. I had the worst client ever, and she was just brutal to me. She did find me on YouTube very early on, and then she thought she was just working with Katie, the YouTube star, and she didn't do anything I said, and it was really difficult. We ended up...
Was that like hiring Ryan Serhant and not doing anything he tells you to do?
Exactly. And she didn't price it correctly. She listed on the coldest day of the year in Chicago. She put it into the computer on a Saturday morning, which I'm thinking, nobody's going to see this. I told her all these things. I told her her price was wrong. I told her she wasn't going to appraise. I told her she needed to fix the house up, whatever. So we listed down market, and we had a lot of people in, coldest day of the year, and unbelievably, we got one offer. And we got an offer at $25,000 higher than her high. So I priced it at $50,000 less than this offer. So we got this offer $50,000 higher. And I was like, oh my God, I am totally wrong. I'm totally an idiot.
The buyer thought they were competing?
The buyer wanted the house. And
really bad and didn't want anybody to have a chance at it.
I said, we had 20 showings today. Mm-hmm. We only got one offer, but we had 20 showings. And they wanted it. And so the inspection was terrible. Terrible. Never had this before. The buyers and the inspector walked out during the middle of the inspection. Walked out. It was so bad. And I knew there's a lot of deferred maintenance. I knew it was not going to go well. I didn't anticipate that. And so I got the buyers to come back because the buyer's mom was the agent. I got them to come back into the deal because she said, well, you have a foundational problem. I'm like, from what? Well, the doors are like not aligned with the door frames. And I'm like, your inspector told you that's a foundational problem? I said, my guy's like Mr. Handyman. I think he just installed them incorrectly. I said, bring a structural engineer in. Bring a structural engineer in. She's like, okay, we'll do that. No joke. She says, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., we have a structural engineer. I call the seller. I said, we can stay in the deal. We can stay in the deal. You just have to let this guy in. I know there's no structural damage. I know you just got other issues. No, we're not going to do it. If they don't think our house is perfect, we're not going to do it.
Emotions.
And so we ended up falling through. We went under 2 more deals, fell through. I finally fired her, and did anyone ever check the structure? Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. I finally fired her, and I said, I can't handle this. She demanded to work with me after that. My husband, who's an attorney, had to write her a cease and desist letter.
Oh, my goodness.
Why am I dealing with this? Why am I in this? But it just goes to show that you have to be able to be to separate yourself from that. Otherwise, you're dragged in. Yeah. So, the craziest client I had. I'm writing a book, too, and that's in my book.
Yeah. You've got a couple books here that you should be writing about. I think every agent that's been in it for any length of time has enough as, I forget the lady's name, does the Crazy Shit in Real Estate podcast. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. You have enough of those stories, at least for a short book anyway.
For sure.
Consistency.
Yeah.
What do you feel today, and to kind of advise you, what do you think you're doing consistently that moves the needle in your business in today? And maybe if there's a background of how it's evolved to get to what you do today to move the needle, give us a little backstory.
So that's really a great question too. And I'm a high D, so I've got a lot of different ideas, a lot of different projects. I go down a million different paths. In the beginning, I spent a lot of money. I did try different things. I mean, you name the type of advertising, I've done it. Except for billboards, never done billboards. That's literally the only thing I haven't done. Anything else, I've spent money on. Millions of dollars I probably spent on lead gen or trying this or coaching. Or I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to go do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to do that. And so now, and this is not going to be your normal consistent thing, I am consistent in what my job is day to day right now. I do not chase squirrels right now at all whatsoever. Even coming here to talk to you right now is outside a little bit of my consistent day because I know I could train agents. I know I could recruit. I know I could do a lot of different things. I know if I do that, I will not be spending time on what's bringing my money in, which is selling real estate.
Yeah, the recruiting is that's definitely a long-term play.
Yeah, and I've tried all these different things. And so, today's conversation is really more to support the industry. It's not for me to go down the coaching path or the training path or anything like that, which in the past I might have been thinking, oh, I'm going to do these training things. I'm going to do these coaching things. I'm going to try all this different stuff. And right now I'm consistent in staying focused, and that's my YouTube, my sellers, and my local business. That's my job.
What is your consistent recording? You have every so many days, or do you have a pattern like that?
Now I do. In the beginning, it was once a week, and then I was trying to do twice a week, and then I was trying to put 3 videos a week, and that didn't last for very long. I got really burnt out. So my goal is to record 1 video a week. If I'm not feeling it, I won't do it. The other thing about YouTube is if you have a good video, you've got to let it ride.
Don't put something in right after it.
No, because it'll stop the momentum, because YouTube doesn't know if they're supposed to push your other video or this new one. So I'm right now going every 2 weeks, which is fine. The video I posted a week ago stopped getting any views at all, like nothing. But all these other videos have like taken off that haven't been going for like a year. So I'm kind of like, I'm supposed to post one on Sunday. And I'm kind of like, should I post it? Should I wait? Because what's going right now is it feels right. You know, so my consistency is about recording a video every week. Like when you do YouTube,
you may store it.
Yeah,
but you're recording it.
You have to be all in on YouTube, and it's a real thought process to put together the idea, the content, and the recording. And then my other thing is that I try not to meet people in the mornings. I try not to if I'm doing like a listing presentation. That is something I changed, you know, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, where I know I'm not good if I don't clean out my email in the morning. So every day, if I have a 9 o'clock appointment, I'm a mess the rest of the day. So I reserve usually the mornings for like email clean out and getting organized. So we were at 11, it was perfect. I was able to clean out my email before I came, you know. Right. So now I know what's waiting for me when I get back. So that for me, it was a time block thing that was really important.
I've been using ChatGPT. Of course, it created that great intro.
Yeah.
Well, let me just tap on that a little bit. Are you dabbling? Are you breaking into the AI? Are you? Some people will say you're a techie just because you're into YouTube.
Yeah.
But where do you see AI in the sense of the real estate agent and leveraging it?
Oh, so interesting. I love it as a tool. I mean, I do. It makes life a lot easier. But like on my channel, people who watch my channel, who subscribe to me, resonate with me. That's it. They can't resonate with somebody who's reading a script off YouTube or off ChatGPT. So I use it for more of like an outline. Give you some ideas, maybe stuff you might not be thinking about. Yes. Actually, so what will happen is like my next video coming out on Sunday is what not to say to real estate agents. And I, of course, have my own, but I threw it in there. It's like, give me some of these ideas. And I was like, those are bad, but this one's a good one. Yeah. So like that's how I use it. Yeah. I use it that way. I don't particularly like the way it writes for me. It's not, I don't love it, but I think that, you know, I was on a panel 2 years ago and that question was asked about ChatGPT, and the other agent there said, I will never use ChatGPT. It's cheating. And I was like, well, I don't know about you, but.
It's funny you say, so I told my son, he's in sophomore Beachside. And I said, dude, let's start, because he's already dabbling in it. As many of them are. We don't realize they're actually, the kids are in it. They're using it for all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
Where to go to dinner. They're going to chat. They're going in.
Yeah.
I said, let's start an AI club. Because the schools, they have to grasp it.
Yeah, they do.
They have to get with it. Now, by the time, in the next 2 years, you know, sophomore, he has 3 years before he goes to college, there should be a major in it by then.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe they could teach so much faster.
Yeah.
Was it someone said there was at an Ivy League school, I think it was, they sued the professor because the professor was using AI.
Right.
Well, in reality, guys, teachers are facilitators.
Right.
They have a little bit of the knowledge. Maybe they've been doing it for years and it's added up and they can actually spill off enough.
Right.
But any new teachers or your teachers in elementary school and high school, they're facilitators. And if they can keep that kid attracted enough to stay in tune with what they're saying or learning, that's, you know, the thing. That's their job.
Right.
And I think AI can it's speeding up. It's faster than Google. You know, I use the example because I'm a history guy, like World War II, and I'm like, if I went to ChatGPT right now, which I haven't done, but I guarantee if I went to ChatGPT and said, give me 5 people that I can write a bio on that most people don't even realize had a huge impact in World War II. And I guarantee would pull up 4 of those 5 names I probably wouldn't even know.
Exactly.
And these people are learning about someone that not everyone talks about.
Right.
You know? But they can speed up the learning, the writing, just so much faster.
Yeah. It's
not cheating. And it was someone was doing a reel, I saw, I don't know if it was last night or the night before, something about, it's like dumbing you down. To me, what you're using it for and it's like going, I didn't think of that.
Exactly.
It's like talking to a friend over here and we're exchanging ideas and he says, hey, you know what? I got an idea. Have you ever thought of this? No, I haven't.
Exactly.
That's to me the AI. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what it helps me with as well. And I could see, other agents who might not be as experienced and they're going in and having it write the whole script and they're reading a script. And if you're doing that on YouTube, your audience will know.
Yeah.
Because you're not having that authentic connection.
So using the AI avatar and feeding it a script, that dies quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not authentic. And YouTube is the best way to have authenticity and to connect with people. I mean, my people feel like I'm talking directly to them. And actually, I don't know if you knew this, but I don't know if it's for everybody, but my channel, it's like 50% of all people watch on their TVs.
That's what I'm watching. Some of the podcasts or things I do. I've got that on, and I've got YouTube on.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's TV. You got to have that authenticity.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to finish with this.
Sure.
Because we were talking about AI, and I have it create an intro after feeding it your bios and stuff, right? And then something I've been doing recently, you're the third person I've done it with. I said, ChatGPT, give me 5 things that Kati makes her unique and exceptional.
Oh.
So,
I love this.
Number 1, massive YouTube influence with precision content. Oh, it's interesting, the precision content. I don't know if I picked that up in your bio or not. And it gives author and educator. Obviously, you've written your book. If someone wanted to get your book, is that something they can?
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Dual market team leadership, which I imagine a lot of agents, dream about, but don't realize what it takes to actually do that.
A whole other podcast.
Respected industry leader. Yeah, from being an EXP Icon Instructor of the Year to leading one of the largest associations in the country, Kati's influence felt across all levels of the industry. Oh, and the last one, what we just finished with, authentic, no nonsense voice. Her direct, honest, and easy to understand content has made her a weekly staple for both consumers and agents alike. No fluff, just real talk.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So that's why I love it. Just because of it. If I didn't tell you that was AI, you'd think I was smart.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's interesting.
I appreciate you coming on today. It's a great conversation.
It's been great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.